Hey everyone, this is Villains of Man, and I'm JVD, bringing you another comic book review, or I should say comic book reviews, over some Dark Knight Metals tie-ins. I'll be covering Batman Lost, Hawkman Found, and Dark Knights Rising, The Wild Hunt. Um, these all take place between, I wouldn't say important events in the Dark Knight Metal 1 through 6 series, which I've covered if you'd like to check that out. Um, they're not really all too important to what's going on, maybe except for the end of the Wild Hunt, which really doesn't even factor into the ending of Dark Knight's Metal. But as a reader, you could pass on these. They don't really, like I say, add much to it, but they don't really take away anything. They're just stories that would like, oh, well, where did Batman go? Where's Hawkman been? But there's nothing significant to the overall story of Dark Knight's Metal. But as a collector, I would definitely collect the Hawkman Found cover. I think it's really, really cool. Where you find him as the in the World Forge near the end of Dark Knight's Metal, and he's this giant kaiju hawk-looking thing with this giant, hammer, and it's about to strike down Hawkman, who looks injured, and he's on like this little rocky plateau. It's a really cool cover. So just for that, I would pick up that cover. It's got some really good artwork on it. But as I said, you could read Dark Knight's Metal and never bother to having to read these. In my own opinion, I really don't think they add anything to it. But with that, I'll kind of get into some spoilers, really, if there's any. I really don't think, honestly, there is. But in Batman's Lost, it kind of takes place between issues 3 and 4. And once Batman gets absorbed by the mantling of the 5 metals from the Judas tribe, which turns out to be the Court of Owls, this is kind of this dream state we've seen Superman in when Wonder Woman rescues him off of these energy walls, towers that Barbatos has put up in Dark Knight's Metal. And it's him trying to fight off the intrusion of Barbatos. And this kind of takes you to flashback back to the Return of Bruce Wayne issue 1, which I do recommend reading this probably before you read this. It'll kind of give you an idea what's going on if you're confused. But this whole thing is just Barbatos trying to fool Batman so he can't escape, and basically Batman kind of gives up. And which you kind of see a lot of that play out in Dark Knight's Metal. Like I said, there's not a lot that's going on in this book that really ties into it. Like I said, you could skip it if you want. As you can tell how quick I'm flying through this, that should just be an indicator of what I'm talking about. And Hawkman Found kind of takes place between issues 4 and 5, and basically it's Hawkman having this reoccurring dream, which seems to be a thing with Barbatos, how he traps you in a dream, and I guess that goes towards the dream, Sandman, the dreaming, whatever you call him, in the House of Library or whatever it is. It has all the untold stories. And it's him falling to his death. He's fighting Mad Hawks. He's fighting one and getting his wings, and then he only finds himself to fall once he's gathered these wings. And it's a recurring dream state that Barbatos has him in. I'm not the hugest fan of Hawkman. These books make me really want to read Hawkman, and I always assume that the wings are part of him. No, they're part of a harness. So it was great. If you listen to this, you're right in our crossover collision. I literally thought they were part of him due to how they moved, but hey, there you go. That's what I get for not reading Hawkman books. But then again, that's what I blame that on some boring DC writing from time to time. Not to take it away from this. This is, this Dark Knight Metal stuff's been good for the most part. Moving on to Dark Knight's Rising, The Wild Hunt takes place between issues 5 and 6. And we kind of get another retcon Detective Chimp origin. If you're an animal lover, it'll probably make you sad. I really liked it. You get a really good clue of how he got his hat from a guy who was protecting him when he was in a circus, and how they were beating him, and this man really loved him and tried to take care of him, and how he went with Fred the dog, and they found the Fountain of Youth, and that's how he gained his intelligence and whatnot. But anyways, we realize him, who's called Bobo, and Tio Morrow and a bunch of others back at Black Hawk Island are monitoring Flash, Raven, and Cyborg. I really felt that this part of this book could have been placed within the Dark Knight Metal story, and you probably could have taken out the 4 adventures of like Aquaman with Deathstroke, Superman in the Darkness, Wonder Woman, and Lady Blackhawk going to the Rock of Eternity, and Green Lantern and all them, you know, their things, and made them like single issues. I feel like this should have been more part of the story because it seems to be very, very important. And it also gives the Dark Knights themselves a bigger role to play in the overall Dark Knight's Metal story, those 6 issues. But they're looking for the House of Heroes because, you know, apparently this is what could save the multiverse. And they're traveling through the Universal Bleed with the Ultima Thule. I guess they had found this with Challenger's Mountain, and Red Tornado. And they're being chased by the Knights themselves. And they're being shot at with missiles carrying baby dark universes. And it's kind of crazy. And you kind of see where the hero of Bruce Wayne plays out in all these Dark Knights, because they think there's a mutiny after this talk between the Grounded and Red Death, who Red Death is my favorite, and which I broke down all these single one-shot issues of all these Dark Knights, if you want to watch that, listen to that as well. But there's a fight between Cyborg and Flash and these Knights, and Flash hits Red Death with the positive energy of creation, and it shifts his polarity and reverses him back to Barry Allen, but Bruce Wayne's conscious is still trapped inside of him, and it changes him to gold, and it really makes him look cool because, like I said, I really loved his armor design, and now it's gone gold, so it's cool. And as they're firing these missiles, Batman, Glass, and the other Dark Knights, he explains to Barry, Red Death, I should say, who's now helping Flash and Cyborg, that if you're a being made of dark matter and you get infused with this positive matter, that is going to tear you to pieces. And he's the first Knight that we see actually die. And that would explain why he's not in the rest of the books. Like I said, I read all these separately, so if you get a chance, read these all together. And because, like I said, find a reading order, like, especially for that, because that's very important, because I was confused why he wasn't around at the end. But, you know, that's how I do these reviews. I just kind of read everything in a trade, which I don't, you know, I have single issues, but that way you, the listener, get an idea of what the trade's about. Anyways, they're going towards a harder universe, and they don't realize that the Knights are actually aiming them there themselves, and that kind of goes on to the point that I brought up, that you learn that Barbatos, for these 50,000 years, have been planning all this. And this was just kind of all his plan this entire time. And Flashington does not realize that they're, you know, being pushed this way. But anyways, they're saved by the 53rd Earth, which we don't realize there is one in this multiverse, made of super chimps. And they talk to Bobo, and they come save the day, and that would explain why they showed up at the end of Dark Knight's Metal. So like I said, this one book here is probably the only one out of these 3 you need to read. Now, I know these aren't in a trade together. Batman Lost and Hawkman Found are part of the Resistance trade paperback, which I'm going to cover that as well. And then Dark Knights Rising is all part of the Dark Knight Rising trade paperback with all the one-shots over the Dark Knights. So if you don't want to pick these up as single issues, you'll know where they're at. But as I said, these really don't, like, make the Dark Knight story better. It doesn't really take away from them. If you're going to read one, read the Wild Hunt. It's the only thing that kind of ties into them. But you should probably pass on these. Like I said, read Dark Knight's Metal. You're going to get the whole story there all together. These aren't going to add to it. But I'm JVD for the Villains Man. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe here to our YouTube channel. Give this video a like. Throw me a comment. Tell me what you think. Keep reading, guys.